Good morning, church. Welcome to the MEC Sunday celebration. Now, the topics I would like to share with you this morning is on the screen. God will make a way. Okay? God will make a way. I'm sure most of you like this song written by Don Moore. Okay? God will make a way. God will make a way where there seems to be no what? No money. No way. God will make a way where there seems to be no way. It's a very touching and very powerful song. I like to sing this song, even it's old hymns or old choruses. But I still find it very helpful. Whenever I need a way, I just sing this song. So I would encourage you to turn to your YouTube and listen to this song. God will make a way. Very powerful song. Okay, Isaiah 43, verse 19. The scriptures itself tell us how God make a way for the people of Israel. For the people of Israel. Many years ago, very many years ago, it's BC, before Christ, about 6th century before Christ. Israel, I'm sure most of you will know this very tiny country in near Middle East, but it's very powerful. Now, this nation was captured by the Babylonian Empire. So a little bit of Old Testament background, just to let you have some idea how this was so that God make a way. Now, during the so-called Babylonian captivity, you're captured by this enemy, one of the greatest nations in the older times. Now, Babylon was Iraq. You know where is Iraq now? Iraq. Now today is Iraq. So they were captured and they were exiled. Exile means all these Israelites were taken away from their own nation, from their own homes to a foreign nation, and that is the Babylon. So it was a very horrible history when we read the Old Testament. Now, make a long story short, at this moment where the Israelites were under great disaster and suffering, God spoke through prophet Isaiah. So this was came into sense. That is, God said, I will put a root in the wilderness. Just think of it, wilderness. Where God root, but God said, I will put a root in the wilderness. And then a rivers in the desert. Desert, no water. But God said, I will create a river. Now, it simply means God will open a way for this suffering servant or the children of God. Well, this is a very briefly say about this Israelite nation, the nation of Israel. Okay, God will make a way. Now, I would like to encourage you to go back to Old Testament. Go back to Old Testament. For what? Read how God opened a way for this group of so-called Israelites. And then you'll reflect upon yourself today. Did you experience or will you experience someday, somehow God will open the way for you where you need a way? So, now, the first point I would like to share with you is, when we go back to Old Testament, the first person, first point, you can see the PowerPoint. Brian, please show the PowerPoint. Okay, Moses, a great national figure or spiritual leaders. Moses, what happened to Moses? Moses experienced God open a way for him and also the Israelite. I'm sure most of you will know this story very well. That is so-called Moses leading the people out of what? Where? Egypt. Okay? Out of Egypt. When Moses left Egypt, you can see that there was a very joyful scene. That lead to about 2 million Jews out of Egypt and want to enter the land of Canaan. It's a promised land. But the King Pharaoh, what happened? This fellow, really fellow, is Pharaoh. Okay. No, he changed his mind. He changed his mind. And first of all, he said, okay, Moses, you left with these people. I don't care. But suddenly, he changed his mind and asked his soldier to chase after these people of Israel. So, you can see that, behind was the Egyptian soldiers. And there was the chasing soldiers. And then in front, you know what happened? That was the Red Sea. So this story, most of the Christians know it. Moses crossing the Red Sea. Okay, shall we read these words together? And then let's have some idea how God opened the way for Moses and his people. Shall we? Exodus 14, 21 to 23. Okay, shall we read? 1, 2, go. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and make the sea into dry land, and the waters were divided. So the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea on the dry ground, and the waters were war to them on the right hand and on the left. And the Egyptians pursued and went after them into the midst of the sea, all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. That means all died because the water go back together. Now, brothers and sisters, you can see this simply means God opened the way. A dry land suddenly appeared in front of Moses. So they crossed the Red Sea. Make a long story short, it simply means at this very crucial moment, it's between life and death, God did a very great miracle. It's one of the greatest miracles in the Bible, or even in the histories of mankind. God guided the people walk through the Red Sea, open a way. Okay? A second person I would like to share with you from the Old Testament is Joshua. I think we have a Joshua here, right? Correct? Anybody call Joshua? Yeah, do I keep quiet? You are Joshua. I know since you are so right now. You are very young, handsome boy. Joshua was a very nice name from the Bible. You can see that these people, name so-called the people of God, the children of God, actually has to do with Joshua. Because Joshua led them into the land, the Canaan, so-called Canaanite, the land of Canaan, the promised land of God. When Moses, God said, okay, just let Joshua lead the people. You cannot enter. All right? That was very sad. And then Joshua lead the people enter the land of Canaan. But it doesn't mean everything will go smooth. If you read Judges or the book of Joshua, you know how many battles did Joshua fight when he led the people enter the land of Canaan? Not smooth. Not everything good. Joshua has to fight 13 battles. 13. 1, 3. It's not 1 or it's not 3, it's 13. A lot of battles had to fight. The first battle was what? The city of Jericho. You know this Jericho city. It's a huge city. Strong forces, stronghold. It's not easy to capture. So there was the city of Jericho become the first obstacle for the people of Israel to go further. In order to go further, inner part of the land of Canaan, they need to capture Jericho. But it was a tremendous difficult task for Joshua and the people of Israel. If you read the Bible, go back and read the Bible, the book of Joshua. But miraculously, God helped them to overturn or capture the city of Jericho. Remember, 7 days they go around the city, and then the last day there was a 7 day, and they shout together. Once they shout, the wall collapsed. Wow, what an amazing story in the Bible. The wall collapsed, and then the people of Israel, the soldiers, just enter, go to the city, and then so forth and so on. You read the Bible, you know. So what is this? It simply means God will open a way for you. When He did the same things for the people of Israel. No matter how strong was the enemy, like the city of Jericho, God can do the impossible things. Do you believe that, no, brothers and sisters? So, Joshua, all right? Okay. Now, we move to New Testament. The New Testament, now point number 3, okay? The point number 3. Okay, why not we read this verse first, Joshua 6:20, and then we move to point number 3, okay? Okay, you can read the Bible verse from the wall. Okay, 1, 2, go. When the people heard the sound of the ram's horns, they shout as loud as they could. Suddenly, the walls of Jericho collapsed, and the Israelites charged straight into the town and captured it. A way, a new way, where there seems to be no way. God will open a way for you when He opened the way for the people of Israel many, many thousand years ago. Do you believe that, brothers and sisters? Okay, we move to the early church. There's a New Testament. Early church. What do you mean by early church? How early was that? All right? We say early in the morning. Early in the morning. But early church, it simply means after Jesus Christ, when Jesus ascended to heaven, and then the church began to flourish. Gospel was spread around Jerusalem, Samaria, Judea, and then to the end of the world. Okay, then the apostle and the apostle disciple, those after the apostle, and this about 200 years, we call it the early church. Early church after Jesus Christ. Now, most of the documents you can read is from Acts of the Apostle. So, please go and read the Acts of the Apostle. You are really interested into the Word of God, how gospel was preached in the early church after Jesus Christ. Go to Acts of the Apostle. So, now, my concern was, according to the early church, the history of early church, the church was almost be eradicated. That means vanished, destroyed. No more churches, no more Christians. Up to that so-called the distinction, the vanish of Christianity. But God, again, opened a way. Shall we read this verse from Acts of the Apostle, and chapter 6, verse 1 to 3. All right? Now, shall we? 1, 2, go. Saul was one of the witnesses, and he agreed completely with the killing of Stephen. A great wave of persecution began that day, sweeping over the church in Jerusalem. And all the believers, except the apostles, were scattered through the regions of Judea and Samaria. But Saul was going everywhere to destroy the church. He went from house to house, dragging out both men and women to throw them into prison. Happy, sir, when you read this verse. Really happy, sir. But it's very sad, about this disasters and this event. Now, 2 persons mentioned here, just to draw your attention. One was Saul. That means later called it renamed by the name of what? Paul. Okay, Paul. How many Paul here? Do you have Paul? Just raise your hand. Paul. It's a nice name. Nobody? I don't believe. It's a very nice name. No Paul. Now we have Joshua. No Paul. Then you better name your son next time called Paul. Okay, it's a very powerful name. But anyway, before Paul was converted to Christianity, his name was Saul. But this fellow really, give the churches a lot of trouble. So the Bible mentioned he persecuted the church under the authority of the Jewish council. Paul, what a man was that, before he converted to Christianity, before he encountered Jesus Christ. And there was a man mentioned in the Bible. Now, another person called Stephen. How many of you call Stephen here? No Stephen again. Hey, what happened to this MBC? No Christian name? Or you just hide yourself? No Stephen. Don't look at me. Answer my question. Are you a Stephen or not? If not, say, yeah, no, please, don't keep quiet. No, sure or not? Didn't? No, Jared, why you call yourself Jared? That's not. Do you like the words? Do you like the Bible? What's Jared? It's from the Bible also. Good. No, Stephen. Oh, okay, next time name your son Stephen. But he died for Jesus Christ. Mati, all right. Now, this Stephen was the first martyr. Now, martyr simply means die for Jesus Christ because of the gospel. He was the first followers of Jesus Christ, died first, And after him, there are a lot of Christians under persecution will die. But he was the first one. And also, he was the leaders of the church, the early church, the leaders. Stephen, a man with good reputation and can preach very well and filled by the Holy Spirit, a leaders of the church. But the Bible says he died. And to the church is a great blow, hopeless. A leader dying. It was something, the church cannot accept. Leaders, when leaders die, it simply means church enter into a stage of hopelessness. No leaders. Of course, there are leaders, other leaders, but Stephen was the leaders of the leaders. It's very sad to hear that. But the Bible says Stephen died. For the church, for the early Christian, no hope. It's the end of the day, brothers and sisters. And then this fellow, Saul, or the Paul, he continue to persecute Christians. So you contrast this person, Paul and Stephen. They represent two types of forces in the early church. What kind of forces? One is the force of the light and the force of darkness. It seems to me the forces of darkness take the lead. It simply means the force of light cannot capture the force of darkness. Apparently, it was the pictures of the early church. Hopelessness. So it's almost be eradicated. It means finished. Leaders die. Another figure, Paul, stood up and persecute the church. Now, we thank God for that. Something happened to this person, Paul. What happened? And miraculously, he converted to Christianity and accepted Jesus Christ. Can't believe that. You can see when God's work, nobody can stop. The impossible seems possible. You believe that God can do something seems impossible, but become possible. Paul was a typical example. God worked in such a way we never expected. Nobody can expect this person, Paul, later become one of the greatest disciples of Jesus Christ to preach the gospel. If you study the New Testament, how many books in the New Testament? How many books? Jaden? How many books in the New Testament? 27. Good job. Paul All right? Okay. No Paul, sure? If I found out there's Paul, then you'll know. All right? You just don't keep quiet. I know. Paul and Stephen contrast. But Paul, this so-called the persecutors of the early church, he converted to Christianity. Do you believe that? Just like some of you. You went against Christianity. You don't want to believe in Jesus. But suddenly, I know a Christian now. Wow, so amazing. I can't believe that. But do you believe that God works miraculously? How hard you go against Christianity. You reject Christianity, reject Jesus Christ. But when the Spirit of God moves, you cannot stop yourself by believing in Jesus Christ. Do you believe that or not? You believe that or not? Amen. The old guy say amen. The young guy never say amen. Come on. All right, now, Paul. Paul. One of the greatest disciples of Jesus Christ. You believe that or not? It happened in the histories of the church. And because of this guy, he has written 13 books of the New Testament, 27. Oh, 27, there are 13 books, 13 letters written by Paul. Can you believe that or not? And he brought the gospel. He brought the gospel to where? To Asia Minor. From Jerusalem to Asia Minor. Where is Asia Minor? Asia Minor is today Turkey. Turkey, not the turkey you eat. Turkey. And then later to Macedonia. And then to Aden. And our captain just went to Aden, right, Captain? You know, this guy, Paul, I don't think he believed himself also. But he was one of the greatest disciples. And the letters writing to the churches in Asia Minor. Okay. You know how long was the church under persecution in early church? How many years? Can you think of it? 200 years. Since the tax soldiers, when Paul started persecuting the church. And later, a persecutor like Paul was persecuted by other Jews in Roman Empire. A persecutor become, he was persecuted Christian, but later on people persecute him because of his faith. Can you believe that or not? How many years? 200 years. Not 20 days, not 2 years, not 20 years, 200 years. Maybe you think, it's nothing to do with me, it's early church. But brothers and sisters, I tell you, if you don't have 200 years, we don't have Christianity in Malaysia also. Don't say there's nothing to do with you. And there is something I want to tell you. Because of the persecution, the church ran over. The Christians ran over other places of Europe. Because of the persecution, they scattered around Europe. And then gospel was preached around the world. And then come to Malaysia, to Singapore, to China. There's a lot to do with you. You don't, Pastor, I don't care. There's nothing to do with me. That's why I ask you to read Bible and to know a bit of history. Then you'll find your own identity. Oh, my identity is I'm a Christian. But who brought the gospel to me, to Malaysia? Who? Because of the persecution. The church scattered around the world. Christians scattered around the world. You have to thank God for that, brothers and sisters. So the gospel cannot stop at you. You must also continue to preach the gospel, right? So that's why I say, go and preach, share your testimony with your friends. And why? Because of other, like missionaries, like other Christians, they share the gospel by shedding the blood, that the blood of the church become the seed of the church. They shed blood. They were killed, crucified, burned to death in the early church. Because of their crucifixion and of their suffering, the blood they drop on the ground become the seed of the church. You understand what I'm trying to say? The blood become the seed of the church. The church going to flourish. And then now, here we are. We have MEC, we have Mega CMC. Why? Tell me. When you sit here so comfortable, and dreaming, but you don't know the facts that they were Christian, suffer for you. You may not face that kind of suffering in Malaysia. To be a Christian in Malaysia is very comfortable. Wow, you so enjoy. Everybody very so nice. Come to church and things like that. But not in the early church, you know. You know where they worship in the early church? They worship in the catacomb. What is catacomb? Grave. The place where they bury the dead. You know, in Jerusalem or in Middle East, it's different from us in terms of burial. 埋葬死人. They have a cave and then they put the body. There are no coffin. They just put the body inside and wrap up the bodies. Put it inside. And then this hazel was quite huge, you know. They can hide around 10 to 20 people inside. Early Christian, they worship God inside together with the dead. Just imagine. Why? Because the Roman soldiers look after them. That's why you see Paul. He went to the house and trapped the Christians out. So for security purpose, these Christians have to hide in the cave where they worship together with the dead. No sense of security. Even cannot sing loudly. Because they are afraid that the Roman soldier will hear the songs or voice and then they come and capture them and trap them out from the cave. That was the kind of scenario in the early church. You know. Brothers and sisters, think of it. You have a very comfortable MEC. So nice. Aircon. LED projector. You sit so comfortably. And you ask yourself, why did I suffer for Christ in Malaysia? No, definitely no. As long as you don't preach the gospel to the Malay, that's all. You're very safe. Sometimes I want to suffer for Christ. We sing hymns like that. Wow, that's good, but hymns means just express your feeling. But in reality, it doesn't happen in Malaysia, right? So my advice is, of course, I'm not asking you to make yourself to be a sufferer. No need. You just think of it. You say, God, what can I do for you? I'm not like the early Christians, so brave. They are living in a very highly dangerous and persecuted situation. But I don't have that kind of background. But I would like to serve you, God. What can I do? Tell me, what can I do? I want to do something for you. You understand what I'm trying to say, brothers and sisters? I have been Christian for over 50 years and a pastor for over 40 years. I know in and out. You young guys, you are very, what we call, very ideal. Very ideal. Wow, the world is so nice. Wow, the birds sing so well. The shirt so beautiful, so fashion. You're very fashion, I can see that. You influence me a lot, so I become fashion already. I feel you are very fashion for shoes, Brother and sister, it's okay. I didn't say anything about it, but my advice is, whenever you open the Bible, just ask yourself, God, what can I do for you? I'm a student, what can I do for you? I'm one of the staff of this company, that company, what can I do for you? Ask God, what can I do for you, God? Now, there is something you need to ask every day, every morning when you wake up. When you say pray, what do you pray in the morning? God, what can I do for you for today? And then I believe that the Holy Spirit will guide you. If you really have this willing heart to serve Him. Okay? Now, Paul, a great man. From Paul, the life of Paul, a later part after his conversion, you can see that God opened the way for the early church. They will never think of the way when Stephen died, habis. And this Paul continued to track Christians out of home and put them into prison, habis. But God opened a way, make a way for the early church. And also through this guy, Paul, gospel was preached to Asia Minor. That was Turkey today. And then to Macedonia. And then from there, gospel was preached to the whole Europe. Can you believe that because of this guy, Paul? Paul represents a way, a new thing. Now, we are all Chinese, Malaysian Chinese, all right? I want to tell you something about the history of China. I think most of us, our grandfathers or grandparents came from China. Huh? Maybe, I'm not too sure about you. But my parents came from China. Actually, I love China very much. Not only the food, China, fantastic country. But I don't like communism. Don't misunderstood me. I love China, but I don't love communists. I don't like communists. Okay, now there was a time when China persecuted Christianity. You never think of that, no. You heard about this event. It's not 2,000 years ago. It's last century, 1966 to 1976. Listen carefully. 1966 to 1976. 10 years. That was last century, the 20th century. What happened? I want to tell you some history. They call it the Cultural Revolution. You know what's Cultural Revolution? In Chinese means 文化大革命. Now it simply means 10 years. 10 years. One of the group under great persecution was the Christian church, the churches. Can you believe that or not? Church were burned. Christian home were locked down. Okay? Bible were burned. Prohibited to read the Bible. Christians were humiliating by these communist young people. If you compare the youth, our youth to the communist youth, we can learn something from them. But not the bad things, but their kind of energy. Because of some ideal, there's communists. They just want to sacrifice their life. They want to sacrifice their life. Have you heard about this group of people called the Red Guard, Hong Weibing? You heard about them or not? From China. Young people like you. They follow the teaching of Mao Zedong. They hold this small book. They compose, and this book was composed by Mao Zedong. You know what's Mao Zedong? It was the communist leader of China. And because of this book, they want to leave out the so-called the teaching of this book. Leave out so-called, they want to implement this. And one of the things they do, they want to go against the capitalists. You know what is capitalism? Those who have money, doing business. And they consider Christianity was one of the branches of capitalism. It's an invasion from the West to China. So they want to persecute these people, Christian. 10 years, Apparently, just like something like early church. Early church. This history, but anyway, I want to tell you something. God opened a way, make a way for the Chinese Christian. You know what is the populations of the Chinese Christian? That's Christian in China. Today, about 80 million. You know what's 80 million? 8,000,000. Did Christianity vanish from the land of China? No. Not only didn't vanish, but it continued to grow until today. When they were under persecution, Christian, they cannot open publicly and worship. They go to what we call the underground. Not the hell, but underground. That means 地下教会. Underground church. Another name for it is the house church. They go to house, from house to house, they worship. Continue to worship God. So the seed of the church still continue to grow all over China. Now, 80 million Christians in China. God make a way for the people of so-called the Christian in China. Anything to do with me for saying this, by saying these kind of things? I just want to tell you, brothers and sisters, God opened the way. Not 2,000 years ago like the early church. Even today, God still opened the way. The Cultural Revolution. Go to the Google and search, and you get more information about this cultural revolution. 文化大革命. You want to read Chinese also, 文化大革命 in China, 1966 to 1976. Lastly, the fourth point I would like to share with you. You and me, always a way out in Jesus Christ. You and I. You and I and you. When there seems to be no way. Sometimes we encounter difficulties and problems, obstacles. 哎呀，慘了，不曉得 what to do next. How about my future? Now, when Jesus said, John 14:6, Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. I am the way. Can you trust Jesus that he is the way? Of course, the verse here is go to the Father, but also the verse here also tells us Jesus always opened the way for us. Have you experienced Jesus open the way for you, brothers and sisters? Did you experience that before in your life? Oh, you may say, Pastor, I'm okay. I'm what we call, a lot of ways for me to go. The problem is I don't know which way I go. There's so many ways. Okay, God bless you. Don't go a long way, please. But if you're really facing some problem of finding a way, especially, I'm not too sure how about you. How many of you will graduate soon from the high school or from college and university? And where should you go after this? And then father said one thing and the mother said one thing. You don't know where to turn and don't know which one you want to follow. Oh, brothers and sisters, I want to tell you. I want to share my own testimony. Pastor testimony. It's very interesting. It's really down to earth. Okay now? All right? You want to hear now? You want to listen now? You may ask, Pastor, how do you follow Christ and serve God for 40 years? I can tell you about 40, 50 years ago, when I graduated from high school, my future was so uncertain and so indefinite. That means, don't know where to go. Don't consider the period and don't compare the period with today's period of time. We are in a different world, You guys, can go there, want to go overseas, want to go to colleges. Hey, during our time, higher education was extremely uncommon. You can ask Uncle William. Unless you're very rich and you're very smart. And there were only one university, like University Malaya. And you want to go to University Malaya, the whole kampong will celebrate and you kill the rosebud for you. Wow, and so good. Because you know what Chinese say, 中状元, you are the master. I can tell you, so difficult for us to enter University Malaya. And at that time, even the Penang U didn't exist at all. Now you have a lot of university, foreign, one local. It's not our time, brothers and sisters. Not easy when you graduate from high school, most of us, 90% of us have to go and work. The future was so uncertain. I don't know what to do after the high school study. Don't know what to do. Not only me, a lot of my classmates also don't know what to do, where to go. But anyway, I just talked to God. God, what should I do? Tell me. Show me a way. I pray. God, show me a way. I just wait for the answer of God. And then, make a long story short, God called me. Go and serve me full time and to be a pastor. So, I obey. And you may ask, Pastor, what kind of so-called, how do you accept God's call? I can tell you one thing. 因为我傻. I never think of that. Too many questions need to be considered, right? But I don't care. I just, okay lah, you call me, I go lah. Once you consider, it's difficult. You go, then what was the salary? Can I get married next time? And this like that. Can I do this? Once you consider, when you consider so many problems, you won't accept God's calling. Definitely no. Very simple. So I went to seminary on 1973. I graduated on 1978. 1970. Then I served in the church. I taught in the seminary, and I served in America, and then meet you guys. Thank God for me and for you. We can know each other so well. And 40 years, my ministry. Do you think that is something, it's for fun? No, it's not for fun. It's not joking. 40 years of being a pastor, Do you believe that God opened the way for me at that juncture of so-called uncertain future? And then I just follow God, His calling, until today. And I retired in 2019. I never regret. I'm thankful for my blind faith. Because I just go. I don't care. Salary low, okay, doesn't bother me. Just go. Just go. So brothers and sisters, I will tell you, if you receive a calling, of course, now you consider a lot of things I know. Talk to your pastor, and maybe not pastor. You can be a lot of things. You can serve God. But anyway, if you really heard the calling of God, I mean really, talk to your pastor. Talk to our brother, Uncle Philip, and talk to some of the seniors. Talk to some of the seniors of mega church and try to share your concern. And we have this mega eagle staff plan. Remember, you heard about that, no? 飞鹰计划. After you graduate from university or college, you can serve full-time under this eagle brand and eagle staff for at least 1 year. And then later you decide whether you want to continue to serve or you want to go back to this marketplace to work. You can decide. So 1 year, we have so far 13 eagles, 13 eagles from 1999. All these eagles, they graduate from university and they serve in the church. How about that? It's so wonderful. If you want to if God want to ask for calling, you have this move, this touch from above. Just sit down and pray, and then talk to these seniors, and think about it. So I just offer a way for you. Come and join our Eagle staff for 1 year. If after 1 year, you think, I cannot be on this side. I want to go back to the marketplace. Okay. I want to go further study. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Go. Because our training was just 1 year. You can continue. All right? Think of it. God opened the way for you if you really need Him to open a way.